Grace and peace be with you on this day. So happy Mother's Day to every woman in the house. And the reason I say every woman in the house is because it's not just for biological mothers, but it's also for spiritual mothers. A spiritual mother is that woman who takes the opportunity to guide and nurture people that are in need of it, regardless of family ties. We need more spiritual mothers in our world today because far too many people are committing acts that make you wonder just exactly what kind of a home that person grew up in. Because it's all about the love. It's all about the love, and today's scripture passage from Corinthians gives us how love should behave. Paul is speaking to us about the behavior of love. And if you love, whether you are male or female, whether you're husband or wife, whether you're father or mother, whether you are child or neighbor, whether you are just with a coworker or a colleague or someone next to the pews, this is what love looks like. And Paul goes through a whole series of adjectives and descriptions and conditions and so forth that help us take a look at it. And on Mother's Day, it's very important to go ahead and lift this up. Mother's Day is just one of those days where we remember the love of our mothers and the love that we had, and for some people, the love that we didn't. It's also a good day to celebrate and to joke around. My mother was one who was a very easy laugh, and she learned how to laugh at herself because it was just so often the many things that would happen or she would do. When I think about the challenges she had raising two boys, of which both were overactive and could not sit still, the many different bops on the head that I got with the wooden spoons and with the many different things, I realized it was all she could do to stop herself from choking us. And she said many things over and over and over and over and over and over again until one day it stuck. But there were certain things that she would not say. And I'd like to share some of those with you because I think that possibly your mother would also not say these things. William, stay up on that tree and climb a little bit higher, won't you? Yeah, I used to skip a lot of school too. Oh, just leave all the lights on and the TV too. Our electric bill is low enough. Let me smell that shirt. Yeah, it's good for another week. Yes, bring that stray dog home. I'll take care of it. I'll feed it and give it everything it needs. I'll bathe it and walk it every day just for you. And, of course, my favorite one, I don't have a tissue with me, so go ahead and use your sleeve. It sounds something more like what a father would say. Of all the different mother figures we have, the mother figure of the church is the Virgin Mary, and I think she was portrayed unrealistically. You think? Right? There were no dialogues about her back and forth with Jesus, and I think that she must have reprimanded Jesus. I mean, he was the Son of God, but he also had the human component, which means that he was not perfect. So he must have done something to deserve a bop on the head with a wooden spoon. And so I think that she must have reprimanded him like this. Go wash your hands. You've been touching lepers all day. So you can feed the multitudes, but you can't help me in the kitchen? Stop walking on water, you're going to catch a cold. Well, my favorite mother to laugh at, of course, is mine. And recently, we gave her a smartphone. My brother and I, we went ahead and collaborated and got her a smartphone. And over the last 2 years, she's been learning how to take pictures and how to do WhatsApp and all the different things. And she started to text like a teenage girl, but without the efficiency of a teenage girl. And she's sent me, not too long ago, a text that I think autocorrect must have stepped in. I think she meant to say, "You're amazing," but somehow or another it came across, "You're adopted." Well, on a day like today, we want to romanticize motherhood. We want to romanticize motherhood, and we want to place all mothers up on a pedestal. For they do the most challenging job that any person can do, and that is to raise a child, and sometimes they do it all by themselves. But Mother's Day is also a day that's a mixed bag of emotions. For many people, Mother's Day is not a day to celebrate. Mother's Day is actually a very, very difficult day for them. And I've had conversations over the years with people who, quite frankly, have had to go into therapy as to how to reconcile with their mom and their dad, too. The harsh realities of life. Harsh realities of life is that the home and motherhood is not exempt from those harsh realities. And very, very broken people become parents and have very, very broken homes, and they raise broken children. And that cycle tends to repeat itself. And the harsh realities of life is that the church is to become the healer, the balm. The church is to become the community that supports the moms, supports motherhood, because it's not an easy journey. And many a support group for parents was formed in a church. Many support group for moms was in a church. I happen to know of a group called Careers to Crayon, and that is young moms with their toddlers coming to a church, and while the toddlers play, the moms just basically network and help each other out. And like that, there's a bunch of other programs for parents to be a part of. And over again, it's not just the moms, it's the dads. Many fathers are now stay-at-home dads, and they need to be just as nurturing as mom is. And they need to take on some of that spiritual motherhood into themselves. So I've got here an homage to moms, and it's written by a woman by the name of Amy Young, and it's titled Shout Out to Mom. And somewhere in here will be your situation. Somewhere in here will be a situation of somebody that you know. Somewhere in here is the variety and the diversity of motherhood. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate with you. To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you. To those who are in the trenches with little ones every day and wear the badge of food stains, we appreciate you. To those who experience loss through miscarriage, failed adoptions, or children that run away, we mourn with you. To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with tears and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. To those who are foster moms, mentor moms, and spiritual moms, humanity needs you. The church needs you. To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate with you. To those who have disappointment, heartache, and distance with your children, we sit with you. To those who have children with special needs, autism, Down syndrome, or any host of challenges and limitations, we are in awe of the burden you have to bear. To those who lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you. To those who experienced abuse at the hand of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience and grieve with you. To those who live through the many tests, medical and otherwise, test of motherhood, we are better for having you in our midst. To those who aborted children, we hold your pain with you on this day. To those who step-parent, we walk with you on this complex path. To those who envision lavishing love on grandchildren, and that dream is not coming true, we grieve with you. To those who will be empty nesters in the upcoming year, we rejoice with you. To those who place children for adoption, and to those who adopted children, we commend you for your selflessness. And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expected and surprising, we anticipate with you. It's all about the love. Can you hear it? It's the love that just encompasses and brings together, unites and binds all things. There was this man who did not live in his birth home. He was hundreds of miles away from it, and Mother's Day was coming up. So he decided to send Mom a bouquet of roses. So he went over to the flower store and paid for the roses to be delivered to his mother on Mother's Day. And as he's leaving the flower shop, he sees a young girl counting money and crying. And he was filled with compassion. He imagined that something was happening. So he asked her, "What's going on?" And she says, "Well, I don't think I have enough money to buy my mother some flowers. I want to buy her some roses." And so he said, "Well, I'll make the difference. Why don't you go ahead, put down what you have, and I'll make up the difference." So the girl got very happy. They went to the counter. They bought half a dozen of roses, and he went ahead and paid the difference. And then she turned to him and said, "Would you be able to give me a ride to my mother's so I can give her these roses?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely, come on over." They got into the car, and she directed him to the cemetery. And there at the cemetery, she laid down the roses on a freshly dug grave. And the man was moved, so he went back to the flower shop. He canceled his order, and he bought some roses, put them in the car, and he drove the 250 miles to his mother's hometown so he could be with her on Mother's Day. When it's all about the love, it's about the presence. It's about being there. Sometimes a card is very beautiful. Hallmark does a great job, but it's not enough. We have to be present. And being present means that we bridge that gap. When you love, your hand is there to lift, to encourage, to caress, and to hold. When you love, you open the door, and you welcome, and you greet. And regardless of what has kept you apart, regardless of the pain that may have driven people away, when you love, you forgive, and you hug, and you welcome in. The church for many centuries has been called the Mother Church because through these doors walk in many broken people who are in need of love, who are in need of forgiveness, who are in need of a hand to encourage and to nurture and to forgive. And as a Mother Church, we encourage people out there to go forth and become spiritual mothers of many, many broken people that are in need of it. The trial of Dylan Roof is happening. Dylan Roof, you will remember, was the troubled young man, aged 19. 19 I still call a child, but the law calls an adult, who went into an African-American church and murdered 9 people while they were in a prayer meeting. You will remember this from 2 years ago, and the people of that town and of that church rose to the occasion, and they were able to not respond with hate, but to respond with love. As the news came up about his trial, I had to think to myself, where was the mother of Dylan Roof? Did he not have a spiritual mom? Did he not have somebody to hold him accountable? And sometimes, even in the best of homes, even with the best of moms, people go astray and people do horrible things. So it made me wonder, to what church is the mother of Dylan Roof going to? To what community is she being welcomed into? To what arms is she being held? For it's obvious there's a lot of pain there. Among us and walking with us are people full of pain. And it is on a day like today that we are entrusted to go out and to love. Mother's Day is not just a day for roses. It's not just a day for brunches by the Sea Hags. Mother's Day is not just a day for us to go ahead and say some nice words. It's a day also for us to go forth and to love our neighbor in the way that God has called us to. And if you have any questions as to how God has called us to love our neighbor, let's go back to Paul's letter to the Corinthians. Let us see our love. Our love is to be kind. Our love is to be gentle. It is to keep no records of wrongs. It is not to delight with wrongdoings, but to delight in the truth. To keep no barriers from each other. To believe all things, to hope all things, and to rejoice in all things. And there, while we are living and expressing and giving that love, we will know that the love of God is with us. Amen.